Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm Alicia Jay, and I'm here with my girls, Terrika, Foster, Brasby, and Erica Ayala, and we are here to talk all about women's sports. How y'all feeling today?
I'm feeling good. How are you doing, T?
I'm awesome. Awesome. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to be here too. One thing I will say, though, we're going to be talking WNBA today, and I was not glad to see Sydney Colson and Aari McDonald go out for the season for the Indiana Fever. It was a blow to everybody. I mean, that day when they announced both of them, social was sad, okay? I know I was, and it was just really hard to see. You know, at this point in the season for the Indiana Fever, with players like, Sid and Aari out, and then also Caitlin Clark, who has been sidelined for quite a while. Let's just start with you, Terrika. With the loss of Colson and McDonald, where does this land Indiana for the season?
Yeah, I honestly think that this loss doesn't necessarily change where I feel they would be for the entirety of the season. But what does change that is how much longer Caitlin Clark will be sidelined. Like, I think that I have a ton of respect for Odyssey Sims, who has been signed to the team and as on a hardship contract. And she's a veteran guard. She brings a lot of experience. She brings a lot of ability to attack the rim. She knows how to pass the ball fairly well. So I like Odyssey being able to take over as a facilitator. We've seen how teams have been impacted when she's there. But this team absolutely needs to have Caitlin Clark back in order to get to the promised land that they have been trying to get to. And so while it is unfortunate to lose a player like a Sydney Colson who can bring you that experience off the bench, and it is unfortunate to lose an Aari McDonald who also brings that energy and that breath of fresh air, ultimately you need to know when you can get your star back to play alongside Kelsey Mitchell, who is trying her best to hold it down and doing a pretty decent job so far. You need to figure that out. And that, to me, is what will change the trajectory of this team more so than the loss of Colson and McDonald.
I think that's fair to say that the impact overall is felt more with Caitlin Clark off of the court. That being said, this Indiana Fever team, we've talked about it before, has figured out different ways to win without Caitlin Clark. And that does change when you're also down another two guards and integrating, as you said, Terrika, a very veteran Odyssey Sims, but someone still that has to get acclimated. This is a team right now sitting 6th in the standings. And as you both have mentioned, they have aspirations for more. They made a lot of changes at the coaching position with some of the free agents, including Colson, bringing Colson in. We know Aari McDonald was brought in later in the season and I think was good and effective. And the point still stands that this is a team that is going to need Clark back. Now, to the point, should they maybe rush her back? First of all, I hope that's not the conversation, because again, sitting 6th in the standings with a team that's 6-4 in their last 10, maybe you just kind of ride things out. I was a little surprised maybe that they didn't pick up something at the trade deadline if they thought they were going to be without Caitlin Clark indefinitely, but I don't think you rush her back. I think you tried to weather the storm, and you definitely want to make sure Clark is back, ready to go and healthy, if not later this regular season or even in the postseason, certainly by next year.
Well, and to that point about Caitlin Clark's injury, Lisa Leslie was recently on We Need to Talk, and she had the same injury that Caitlin Clark has, and she had a little bit to say about the injury and kind of whether she should come back or not. So let's take a look at that clip.
Well, I really feel for Caitlin Clark because I actually had that injury 2006. And listen, I was heavily taped around my thigh, around my glute, just trying to make sure there was enough pressure to hold that groin. And the hard part is that the groin is sort of an area that you can't just touch and go, oh, it hurts right here. You feel it deep. You have to get a lot of deep treatment, whether it's ice and heat and rest. Well, Caitlin Clark, she can't find a lot of rest right now because she's mid-season. But I think that injury is really tough because it lingers. No matter how much medicine you take, you can feel fine. You get back out there, one move, one change of direction, and boom, you're right back feeling that same type of pain. So it's going to be a tough injury that she's going to have to manage.
How long did it take you to recover from?
To be honest, Tracy, I play tennis and I can still feel that injury linger because I don't know that it ever really goes away. You just learn to manage and play with it, which could also lead to why her numbers are down. Listen, the logo shoots the longest distance out there in the WNBA consistently, and that's going to take away from her lift, whether she's shooting three-point range or even further out. I remember struggling all season long in 2006 with that injury.
So for Lisa Leslie to say that it lingers, like at times she still feels it to this day. Indiana is at 6th. They're finding ways to win. We're well into the second half of the season. Terrika, do you think she should come back at all? I mean, she has a long career to go. Should she rush back? Should she even come back this season?
Well, those are two very different questions, right? Should she come back this season? If she's able to play, absolutely she should come back. Should she rush back this season? Absolutely not. Under no circumstance should she rush back to get this team any further than it already is and can be. Again, both Erica and I have touched on it. This team has found ways to win without Caitlin Clark in the lineup. And I think that Kelsey Mitchell added with an Odyssey Sims, who both have the experience, can carry this team to the playoffs. And the truth is, if you aren't the number 1 seed 2 through 7 or 2 through 8, it just kind of is what it is. You get in where you fit in. You just want to be in the conversation. 1 seed is the only seed that actually that really truly matters, if we're being honest. Why? Because you get home court advantage throughout the entirety of the postseason. Any other seeding you grab, at some point, you're going to have to go on the road. So you just want to get in. You want to feel good, feel confident. You want to find a way to gel and play, acclimate, and get Odyssey acclimated. You want to be able to play as a team, and you want Caitlin to be able to give you as best production as she possibly can by the time you get to the postseason. You can't get that if you don't allow her ample time to rest and get her growing back to a place where she is comfortable playing. That's a muscle injury. It's very different than a bone or a joint injury. You really have to allow it to heal. So I think if she's able to play and come back, absolutely, it gives you the best chance to go further in the postseason. But you do not rush. And if that means she's not able to suit up for the rest of the year, then you figure out how to be successful without her, but you don't rush it.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Alicia, with what Terrika was just saying. And again, like Lisa said, this could be something that's ongoing and lingering. So I think the more time you give Clark, the more time you give her, if indeed it is similar to Lisa's injury, you give her more time to prepare, how to change how she approaches training and even games, if that's what is required.
Well, listen, we have been talking about Caitlin Clark and if she's coming back to the court, but I just wanted to touch on something a little bit more fun, and that is a mascot that took to the court for the first time, and that is Violet from the Valkyries. Okay, she debuted. She is a Raven named Violet that hatched at Chase Center. Came out to a Bay Area artist, Saweetie, with best friend. She's calling everybody her besties. Look at her. She is really cute. Violet is cute. She is really an awesome mascot to come out. There's a little mixed reviews on social because they're saying she is kind of reminiscent of Ellie. But to be honest, you can only have one Ellie. Let's just be clear. She's the mold. She's taking it. But what do you guys think about Violet? I think she's cute. Look at her. She got them glasses on.
She's really cute. I like Violet. I thought she was cute. And I thought the build up for her was cute because, they gave all the fans like little bird watchers glasses. So everybody was trying to figure out like, what is this bird watching thing supposed to mean? The build up, I give the Valkyries a ton of credit for how they have been marketing and branding themselves this entire season. But this was cute. There can only be one Ellie and there will only be one Ellie. But what this means is that Ellie has stepped it up so much that she's forcing other teams to bring their A game as it comes to mascots. So I like it. Go Violet. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'm with you, Terrika, here. Also I love, a long burn, a slow buildup, and the whole thing with the egg and, that being a thing. I think it's wonderful. Yep. Yes, We know that in sports, when teams, franchises see something successful, they want to be a part of it. So I'm not mad. I know Ellie in the past has said she has no siblings. So, I think we settled that when Chicago, got a new mascot. But I think that like a lot of organizations that come first, when it comes to certain things, you take that mantle on, and then you are excited to see how other organizations move on beyond that. So yeah, I'm good with Violet. Mascots overall are also not my catchment area. I think I've aged out of being the demographic there. But for the geriatric millennials, I will speak, and I'm with Violet.
Not the geriatric millennials. That was a lot.
Apparently
That was a lot.
Yeah, that's where we are right now. It's the truth. It's where we are.
It is where we are. But what I want you to do is stay right there, because when we come back, we're going to be doing some 2-minute drills with Terrika and Erica, talking most improved player to the hottest team in the league right now. So make sure you do not leave. You come right back here with We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. Welcome back to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm here with Terrika and Erica, and we're doing something a little different in this segment. We're going to have 2 minutes. We're giving you 2 minutes. Here are the rules to talk about a WNBA topic, and you just have to tell us all about it in 2 minutes. I have my stopwatch here. You guys will all have a stopwatch on the screen too, so you can keep tabs on it. But let's start with you, Terrika.
Oh boy.
So 2 minutes. Should Paige Bueckers be the unanimous rookie of the year? And go.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I know that Sonia Citron is making it interesting, right? She's had a really great 6-game stretch, but Paige Bueckers should probably still be your unanimous choice. Now, if you look back in July, she was the first person in WNBA history to get 350 points, 100 assists, and then in her first 20 games. Like, that's just not good. Like, that is unprecedented. We're seeing her do stuff that we haven't seen rookies do before, and she's remaining cool and calm and collected the entire time. She's doing it all for her team, and this is the Dallas team that has been really struggling a lot more than a lot of us thought that they would coming into this season. Also, I know that she missed 7 games, right? But here's the thing. The WNBA doesn't have minimum game requirements for postseason awards. So it doesn't matter that she missed 7 games. The fact is she's still doing better than the other rookies. And every single time she's on the floor, I think she's a clear difference maker. She's producing, she's impacting every possession. She's handling all the pressure. She's acting like a vet, right? That's what UConn players typically do when they come to the WNBA. They are already prepared for the pressure that it means to be and play at this level. So again, I love Sonia's push. I think it's been fun to watch. I think she might be the only other player from a rookie perspective that could give Paige a run for her money. But just the overall body of work of Paige Bueckers, to me, being history making, having that consistency, I think she's the rookie of the year. And I did it in less.
Terrika, I was going to say, she didn't need 2 minutes for that. Made a believer out of me, didn't need 2 minutes at all. Okay, so Erica, are you ready? This is yours. In 2 minutes, Coach of the Year, Smesko or Nakase?
Ooh, this is a really tough one. I'm going to start with the Golden State Valkyries and start with Natalie Nakase. Coming from the Becky Hammon coaching tree, you look at an expansion team. There were not a lot of expectations for Golden State coming in. However, with how the team was built, I think it really fit into what the identity was going to be, not only of Golden State, but also how we saw Nakase coaching. And I think she has executed to perfection, to the point where the Golden State Warriors, you hear me? The Golden State Valkyries, Violet coming for me. The Golden State Valkyries are a team that is still in playoff position. And that is very impressive. However, I think I might have to lean into Karl for this one, because this is an Atlanta team that barely made the playoffs last season and has leapfrogged the New York Liberty and is in that number 2 spot, a 6-game winning streak. And I mean, I kind of like what this Atlanta team is doing. I think under previous head coaches, they had a lot of the same pieces, but they just weren't able to execute completely, fully. There were times where, sometimes late in games, they would flounder. And that's not necessarily happening. You're seeing the numbers that Alicia Jay is putting up. I think getting Bree Jones was huge. Of course, getting Brittany Griner, huge. Ryan Howard, getting some important help. Now we have to see, they have some injuries that they've been dealing with throughout the season, including, unfortunately, most recently with Jordan Canada. Can they stay in that number 2 spot? That's the big question. But the fact that they got there, I think that's why Karl might come away with it.
Okay, right under the 2 minutes. Okay, I'm here for it, Erica. So, okay, Smesko. We'll see. We'll see how that pans out. But Terrika, what I want to know now is most improved player. There's so many candidates this year, so many. But who would you pitch in under 2 minutes to be the MIP? And go.
Okay. So you're right. There are a few candidates who I think could really get it done. Right. I have Azurá Stevens as someone who certainly should be considered. What she's been doing this year with the LA Sparks is mind-blowing, not because she isn't capable, but more so because she's been injured and we haven't seen it, and now we're getting an opportunity to see it. So I love that. Gabby Williams is also someone who I think should be considered in this conversation. And again, not because she isn't capable, but because we haven't seen it. She hasn't been in the league long enough to really put together a full season for us to see it. But I am going with Veronica Burton. Sis, if you weren't sold on Veronica Burton before Wednesday, you're probably sold now, because she went off. She had 30 points on 10 of 13 shooting, put up 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and that was on the road over Washington, right? Don't give me Washington is not blah, 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 blah. She was doing it. And these were not empty stat padding moments either. Golden State nearly blew a 25-point lead in that game. So they needed every single one of her baskets to get that win. Her numbers, to me, are not just impressive, but it really shows her growth. I watched her in Connecticut and I saw the potential that she had, but now playing out in Golden State, she's found her confidence. She's found her rhythm. She's part of the reason that the team moves the ball so well. She knows how to put her players in the right position to succeed. She takes great shots and it's really paying off. And so I love this for Veronica Burton. I think that now she's in the best position for people to really see her talent and for her to really grow her talent. Again, this is someone who has gone from a role player to, in my opinion, a game changer. And I think she should absolutely be the person that is leading the pack for most improved player.
Yeah, shout out to Veronica Burton on a fantastic season. And we still have so much more to go. So we will see who ends up being the most improved player. But now, Erica, the last topic that we have of the day, who do you think is the hottest team in the WNBA right now outside of Minnesota? Because obviously they're hot. But who's the hottest team right now outside of Minnesota?
Yeah, this one is interesting because even 2 days ago, it might have been a different answer than it is today, than it will be 2 days from now. But I think you still have to have Atlanta in that conversation. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've been able to get, again, as I mentioned in Coach of the Year, I think they're doing better closing out games than they did last season. You look at, I think they have a budding rivalry maybe with some of these teams that they've been able to play. Still having a little bit of difficulty, though, with the aforementioned Minnesota Lynx, and New York might be another rivalry going back a few seasons now. Golden State has given them trouble in the past. Another team, though, that you maybe want to look to is what the Sparks have been able to do. They've been up and down in the last handful of games, but they had a nice streak that has put them back into a position where we're talking about, will this be a team that can make the playoffs? That can they make a run? Can they make things a little difficult for the rest of the field, still on the outside looking in, but have been surging? And then I think, you also can look at the Las Vegas Aces, who who I don't know if we really thought they were going to be in the playoff picture at all, and now find themselves knocking at the door at a top 4 finish. So all things considered, I think I'm still leaning towards Atlanta, but that could very well change soon because we will see Atlanta take on a few of the teams that I've mentioned, including the Vegas Aces, and I think that will stand the test of time. But for right now, I'm still giving Atlanta the edge, but Vegas, I don't know, I might have just added some fuel to their fire in saying that today.
She about to be in the locker.
A lot of yes,
about to be locker material.
Yes, and certainly we're going to see how all of these teams pan out moving forward as we go further into the second half of the season. It really is a tight race in a lot of different ways, but you guys have swayed me. You have swayed me with your 2-minute drills, and I'm going to rethink some things that I was thinking before, but make sure when you come back that you get ready because we're going to be giving our guarantee of the week presented by AT&T. And another thing right now that I can guarantee is that you should follow us on social so that you can guarantee that you get all of the alerts for everything that we do. So hit us up on all the social channels, follow us and subscribe on YouTube so you can get that right away. But as for now, we will be back right after these messages with We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. Welcome back to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. I'm here with Terrika Foster-Brasby and Erica Ayala, and we are back with one of our favorite segments, and that is the Guarantee of the Week, presented by AT&T. Now, what we're going to talk about this week is something that has definitely been in conversation, especially with her play as of late. A'ja Wilson has just been breaking records left and right. She has always been a phenomenal player, but lately she has definitely been ramping it up this season. And she had a 32-point, most recently, she had a 32-point game where she also tied a career high 20 rebounds in the Aces win over Connecticut on Sunday. And Erica, I just want to start with you. With everything that she's doing right now, are you guaranteeing that A'ja Wilson will go down as one of the GOATs of the WNBA? I mean, for me personally, can we just call that now? But are you going to guarantee that?
I mean, claro, seguro, AKA book it. Like, I mean, this is a generational talent. We have to remember that she is playing for a Las Vegas Aces organization that, going back to Kelsey Plum, had 3 consecutive #1 picks. And when bad boy Bill Laimbeer from the one and only, Detroit days, in the NBA, he said, this is A'ja's team. And I don't even know if A'ja Wilson believed it at that point in time, but Laimbeer, he called it and built the organization around A'ja Wilson. And we have been seeing the fruits of that decision and her growth and trajectory, everything that has been poured into her, of course, South Carolina, but also with the players that she's been able to play with USA Basketball and everything coming together, culminating in what is fantastic, phenomenal performances. We're seeing her tied with all-time greats like Sylvia Fowles for second most career games with 20+ points and 10+ rebounds, just behind a living legend herself, Tina Charles. Absolutely 100% book it. If you are putting down money, this is a future bet that I will take 100%.
I don't even understand why we gotta wait till it's over. Because if you ask me, she up there right now. Like, she's already one of the greatest players that we're playing. I mean, you and I were talking during the break, Erica, when the 32 and 20 game came, and we're like, wait, this is the first time she's done this? Because it feels like she's done this already. Like, she continues to set a standard of excellence that folks are trying to emulate. And what's interesting is that an off game for A'ja is like the best game for some other people. That's just how incredible she continues to set a bar for herself and how she impacts the game and everything she's doing. We're talking about a player who came to this league who really helped to transition a lot of the South Carolina fans, the South Carolina fan base. Like, she brought all of that. She brought an energy that we just had not seen from the collegiate level in a very long time, maybe since like Maya Moore or Candace Parker. Like, it is so incredible to see her trajectory from being the #1 overall pick, from being the one who started the Aces organization to where she is now, and the level of excellence that organization has become because of Asia in the work that she put in and how she holds her teammates to those same level of excellence. We have multiple times seeing Asia come to that podium and say, yes, I went off in that locker room. Yes, I told them that if they're not bringing their A game, they don't need to come. Yes, I said what I said. And you love that and you respect that, because she's going to pull out from her teammates every single thing that you want to pull from you. And when you think about the best players and you think about the GOATs, they're always the ones who not only set a standard, but they want to exemplify and get that standard from the people that they play around. And the people around them tend to say, I'm better because I played with her. I'm better because I was on the team with her. There is no doubt in my mind she will absolutely be one of the greatest players to play this game. But I think she's already in the conversation, to be honest.
Definitely already in the conversation. Like I said at the beginning of this segment, I feel like we could call it. But also, I just want to add that not only is she a GOAT on the court, but she's a GOAT off the court too. What she has done for the game of basketball, whether it be the amazing book that she wrote that just inspired so many people, to having her signature shoe with Nike, to all the companies that she has been a part of and also started. I mean, A'ja Wilson has inspired so many people through this game of basketball to be who they are and who they want to be. And that, to me, is part of the GOAT conversation as well. With all of these people that we've talked about with her in conversation with, they've all had that component as well. And so, I mean, yeah, she definitely is. But let's talk right now with the MVP race. With Napheesa Collier out, I mean, obviously she's the front runner in a lot of different ways, but with her out with the injury and what A'ja has been doing on the court, does this change the conversation of who is the front runner for MVP?
I think it does change the conversation. Will it change the end results as far as who wins? To be determined. But it changes the conversation because, unfortunately, Napheesa Collier got injured at a time where we are starting to see other teams like the Las Vegas Aces start to find their stride. We talked earlier about how Atlanta is finding their stride. The Sparks might be a problem for some teams. And then you also have individual players going to A'ja Wilson, going to Alyssa Thomas, and even Sabrina Ionescu, who we're seeing with the injuries that we've seen throughout the league. They keep piling up. Unfortunately, one of the most injury plagued seasons that we've seen in the WNBA, that other players are having to step up without key players on the court. And so while I do think this changes the conversation, does it ultimately mean that Collier will miss out? I think if the timeline that we first heard stays true and she's reevaluated and comes back to the court within the next week or so, my expectation, especially because Minnesota they've already clinched, right? And I mean, it seems like a foregone conclusion at this point that they will be #1. So Minnesota, because of Napheesa Collier, put in a lot of their work early. So I don't know if it changes it completely. It might change how we talk about if Fee wins MVP, but her efficiency, it's something that she came into the season focused on, Terrika, and she's been able to, for the most part, hit that 50, 40, 90 right on the nose, game in and game out. And that's huge. Coming from a team that got to the finals, got to overtime in game 5. It's now a 7-game series, or it will be, but got to overtime and saw it slip away. And that has been a singular focus. We saw her ball out also in her venture, Unrivaled. So I think that it's still Fee's right now. And yes, I do think the conversation has changed.
I agree 100%. Like, I don't even have too much to add to that because I 100% agree. I think what Napheesa did in this league while she was playing from May to July solidifies her to still be the front runner, even with missing the last couple of games. But I will also say that I think A'ja Wilson has done a great job for the majority of the season. But because the team has not played in its best form or in its best shape, and we see this on the NBA side all the time. Players have phenomenal seasons, but you're playing on the team that isn't winning or isn't winning to the level that we're accustomed to seeing them win. And we just kind of just say, well, yeah, they're doing great. But now there's an argument that can be made on whether or not that's fair because MVP is an individual award. It's not a team award, right? So there's an argument that can be made about whether or not a team's record should matter when you're discussing whether a person should be considered for MVP. But as of today, a lot of voters do take that into consideration. So the fact that the Aces weren't winning made A'ja kind of slip in the conversation, although her numbers statistically would have put her in the conversation from the very beginning. I love the fact that Alyssa Thomas is still in this conversation because, again, she is someone who numerically has kind of been in the conversation the entire time when she's been healthy and she's played. At the beginning of the season, there was a time when that Phoenix Mercury team just couldn't string together a healthy roster. And then you started to see them all come together. And now a lot of the moments that has made Phoenix successful has been because Alyssa Thomas has either made the play or been a part of the play. So there's definitely some healthy competition in the MVP race, and we absolutely love to see it. You already touched on Sabrina and how literally she's been the person that has helped keep this New York team afloat with the injuries that they have had to deal with. So these are all fair people to have in the conversation. I just don't think we can remove Fee from being the front runner as of today. But I will say the more time she continues to miss, added to the play of Alyssa and the play of A'ja Wilson, if Vegas continues to string together wins like they're doing, if Phoenix somehow reapplies themselves and ends up back in that top 3, top 4, then yeah, like then you can say maybe the front runner is slipping a bit. But as of now, I think these 4 are a solid 4, and Napheesa is fair to still be at the top.
Well, as we head down the stretch in the season, we will certainly be keeping tabs on who is going to be the MVP, who's going to be the best out there on the court. But when we come back, I hate to do it, but we're going to talk about the worst teams that are in the league right now. Ooh, I even hate that word worse, but we got to talk about it. So stay tuned and we'll talk all about it when we come back on We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. Welcome back to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T, and we're going to talk about some of the teams that are in the bottom, actually the bottom 3 teams as it stands right now, which is Connecticut, Dallas, and Chicago. Terrika, I just want to start off with you because you are the sideline reporter for the Connecticut team, and you've been there for it all. So you have a lot to say about, what needs to improve when it comes to the Connecticut team. What do you see could be changed to make the team better?
Experience. I mean, call me, cliche or whatever, but honestly, they doing as best as they could possibly do because of the situation and the hand that they were dealt. This is a team that lost more than any other team in this offseason, quite literally lost their entire starting 5. There are only 2 players on this team currently that played last year, and that's Marina Mabrey and Olivia Nelson-Odota. So granted, Tina Charles is a vet, and sure, there are other players who are veterans by year of being in the league for a while, but ultimately, this is a new team, and these players are learning how to play together. What I will say is that, and there's a new coach, right, who also is learning the WNBA system, learning the WNBA style, understanding the practice time and the schedule, new coaching staff. Like, this is literally a new team. So I'm not really surprised because the only thing that's really going to make them better is experience and time. However, what I can say is that I don't think there's any other team that I'm more excited about the future in than I am about Connecticut, because that core four, which is what we have dubbed them in Connecticut, are really doing well. That is Sanaya Rivers, literally someone who could be in consideration for all defensive first team because of how she plays. There's Layla Lacan. She was drafted in 2024, but she is a rookie. And ever since she's come over from France, the defensive impact has improved and has increased significantly. Anissa Morrow, all she needs is minutes. The more minutes she plays, the more impactful she is on the court. And then they just brought over Aaliyah Edwards. Connecticut already loves Aaliyah Edwards, but her versatility really brings something that can make the future bright. So it ain't really much they can do right now except play spoiler. But the future of Connecticut looks really good if this four continues to grow and build in the great direction.
Side note, that block that I just want to say, side note, that block that Sanaya Rivers had over Cardoso had me out of my seat. Okay.
Me too.
It was so good. And the future is definitely bright for her and that core. But I want to talk about another team. I just mentioned Cardoso, who's on the Sky. Erica, there's a lot that needs to happen with the Sky. They have a lot of promising players. We talk about the future of Connecticut. I feel like the Sky has some really good core players as well. They just aren't necessarily there yet. They've also had injury with Angel Reese. What do you think needs to happen with the Sky team to turn things around?
Well, I mean, you mentioned it. This is a roster that has dealt with injury, and it's difficult when you have the player of the caliber of Angel Reese sitting out. We know what she's able to do on the when it comes to rebounds, and rebounding is a huge part of the game. I think if you look at teams that have struggled, whether they're at the top of the standings, in the middle, or towards the bottom, teams that are not effectively and efficiently rebounding night in and night out, you're not winning games in the WNBA if you cannot rebound. I think also there's some young players like Haley Van Lith, I don't think has really found her stride yet. Ariel Atkins was a really good pickup for this team, but she has also struggled with injury at times, Terrika. And I just think that they need a little bit more when it comes to what the backcourt is able to do from a defensive standpoint. You do have players that, have been known for their defense over time, but I think they could use a little bit of a boost there. Also losing veteran guard Courtney Vandersloot's season-ending injury after coming over from winning a championship in New York, I would say Terrika really impacted what this team was hoping to do. And they also have a brand new head coach.
Yeah, and someone who has a brand new player would be rookie Paige Bueckers with the Wings. She certainly had an amazing season. We talked about her earlier, but the team, not so much. And, Terrika, what's your quick take on what the Wings can do to become the team we know they can be?
Leadership. That is the first thing that pops into my head is leadership. It is difficult to be a head coach. It is very difficult to slide in from a assistant coach's position to a head coach. And so it is going to be a transition for not only the players that are on the coach, but for the coaching staff to understand what they have in front of them and what they need to be successful. And so I think leadership on the court is important. Leadership and the coaching staff is important. And eventually they will get there. I'm not exactly sure if Chris Koklanis is the one that will get them there. But at the end of the day, leadership is the most essential part of Dallas's makeup right now that I think needs the most work more than anything else.
Yeah, we've definitely seen some feedback on Chris from some of the players and also about Chris on social media. And we'll see how that pans out in the future. There's a lot to be done there, but there's also a lot that we can talk about this upcoming weekend. There's a big game on CBS with the Liberty taking on the Lynx. We're going to preview that game and talk all about that matchup next on We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. It is Rivals Week, and the Liberty will be playing the Lynx on CBS on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So naturally, we're breaking down the matchup right now. It's a huge game that we're looking forward to. I will say we have seen this game in the last couple of weeks because they've played each other a lot. They have played each other a lot, and I think that will go into this game. There'll be a little bit that we can talk about with that, but the Liberty, this is a hard thing to say because we haven't seen them struggle in a long time, but they have been struggling a little bit, Erica. What do they need to do going into this game with the Lynx?
Well, I mean, what they need, not sure they're going to get, and that would be to be healthy. Their front court has been decimated by injury. They were out without Jonquel Jones for a little bit. They are without Brianna Stewart at the moment. Niara Sabally, Kennedy Burke just made her way back, but what has been the secret sauce of the New York Liberty in the past handful of years, culminating with last year's championship, was that they have great length and they have versatility at those positions. And it's been a little bit difficult. We talked about Sabrina Ionescu having to carry, the mantle for this team while there have been injuries. I think that Natasha Cloud has realized that she has to impact the game a little bit better. But what we see is that it's affecting this team defensively. And, that's not the whole story is that they have, their front court injured, but it is impacting rebounds. It is impacting rim protection. And so those are things that when they're playing some teams, they can get away with, but not when they're playing Minnesota, and how Minnesota is built very similarly to New York and outside of Napheesa Collier. And that's a big injury in and of itself, but they're coming in a little more healthy. They are coming in playing much better defense. And I think that's what has been the struggle for Liberty Bibberty, as Tosh Cloud might say. They need to really hunker down defensively, hunker down with their communication and their assignments so that they can stop the bleeding on the defensive side and ramp up what they do, which is getting their offense going in transition.
Yeah, quick transition is been the flavor for New York, and that has certainly lasted over the last few weeks, but also depth has been its Achilles heel. This is a team that literally utilized the depth of their roster and their bench last season to help carry them through. I am a card-carrying believer that Niara Sabally and Kayla Thornton are two people who played the biggest roles in helping New York to win that championship, and they may not get that championship without those two. And so now that you are missing that depth on the bench, that is something that has been hindering this team for the last couple of weeks and will continue to until they can get healthy. So to Erica's point, health is the one thing that they need and the one thing that they aren't getting anytime soon. With that also being said, you look at the Lynx coming into this matchup and they feel like they've got something to fight for. At the end of the day, you don't get an opportunity to see a team this many times within a couple of weeks for each other without it being a playoff situation. And that's precisely what the Lynx want. They want to be a playoff situation so that they can continue to understand and learn your mechanics, your mannerisms, your timing. They're going to make adjustments. They are high in defensive efficiency. They are going to come in looking at all the things that you've done over the last couple of games that they've seen you, and they are going to make adjustments because that is what Cheryl Reeve does, and that is what she does incredibly well. And they have now added another defensive juggernaut who can defend on the wing and can be one of the best rebounding guards in the league in Dejanay Carrington. So they are continuing to get better and get stronger, and that is a problem. It is why they are able to stay afloat without Napheesa Collier, because they are able to bring in someone like a Dejanay who can hold it down on the defensive end and allow people like Kayla Thornton and Alana Smith to be more figuratively moving around and creating space on the offensive end, allowing them to figure it out offensively. So if New York doesn't bring that defensive A game into this matchup against the Lynx, it is going to be a long day. And I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout, because I don't think that whatsoever. These games have been close. They have been back and forth. They're going to fight and they're going to battle. But it's going to be just that, a battle, unless they are bringing some defensive effort.
Well, we're definitely going to see what these two teams are going to do against each other again, as we've said, because they have had a lot of matchups against each other lately. It's crazy when you look at the Lynx without Fee. They're 9-1 in the last 10 and on track to beat the Aces' single season record of 34 wins, and that is without Fee. Really quick, before we wrap things up, do you guys think anyone can stop the Lynx?
In theory, yes. Is it going to happen? Maybe, but I think the team that they play this weekend still has the best chance of toppling Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think no team is indefensible, but New York and Atlanta to me are the two that can get the best run.
Well, I guess we will see how things pan out. Looking forward to the end of the WNBA season. Make sure that you tap in with us here at We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T, because we're going to be locked in all the rest of the season for WNBA and also for women's content. So until next time, we will see you next week.